What is going on, everybody? Hello. Welcome to the world, man. What's going on?
What's going on, buddy? How's everybody out there in our oh, what's it? The motion sports land on
Land.
on Roku, on Amazon Fire, on
We're
we're
everywhere, man.
Rumble, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. If it's internet related, we're there. You're gonna see us. You're gonna find us.
100%, man. I mean, we are everywhere. Like you said, dude. It's incredible, man. It really is. A lot of
More
fun.
and more coming. More and more happening. More and more work we're doing. Jimmy, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%, dude. We what's up, Jimmy? Yeah, I mean, dude, YouTube channel's blowing up, man. I'm getting
Abs-
reports
I-
and we have listen to this, Sam. In the last 3 weeks, we have increased increased our views on that channel by 7 times.
Awesome,
Sevenfold.
awesome.
Sevenfold.
I
I mean,
guess
it's
I guess
incredible.
all the credit is going to have to go to you and Blake. I mean, everybody likes pants and everybody likes knowing what baits to use. So,
Hey, man, it's an outdoor sports network as well as a regular sports
and
network. But man,
if some of us will turn the microphone on when they record their videos, then the clip will actually be pretty good.
yeah, exactly, man. I mean, it has really unbelievably grown, and again, we're still very small, but I mean, we are exponentially growing, and I don't expect that pace to continue, but we want to get to a huge size, man. Before I'm trying to grow it as much as we can before the KFL season gets up because that's really important, man. I'm thinking the KFL is going to be the stable for that's going to be like the backbone of this network, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. A lot of content coming out for the kayak fishing league coming out here. I mean, as we get going into this season, man. I mean, good gosh. I mean,
You're
I
talking
posted.
you're talking about a lot of content coming. There's a lot already there that you've done with for the KFL, KBBT stuff that has just been preseason, early season stuff. But
Yeah,
it's a lot of there's a lot of fun out there. These guys are
they're
scattered
great
across the
clippers.
country, but they all have this thing in common, and they're all really friendly, have a good time doing what they're doing, and they have a good time with each other too.
Right on, man. Look, man. Look, we had a pretty interesting sports weekend. I really don't want to talk about the NBA All Star game. That was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. You ever seen
Wait,
that guy on the
did you say you
meme?
do or you don't want to talk
I,
about that?
I really don't, man. I mean, but you ever seen the guy with the meme, the guy who's like the security guard and he's like patting down the guys and he's like this,
Okay,
I mean, yeah, okay. That's what the NBA defense was like, man. It was so bad. What happened? What happened to the NBA, man? What happened to the
That's
NBA?
I was thinking about this in the days that we were coming up, and we were really sports was getting its teeth into us. We had Bird and Magic and Jordan, Olajuwon, uh, Barkley, Reggie Miller, these kind of guys. And it was when they stepped on the court, they stepped on the court to win. And if you were in their way, they were going to go through you.
What's up, Robert Brown?
Now everybody is buddies. They're all friends. They all hang out together. They all hang out in the off season. They all want to go play with each other.
That's a great
It's
point, man. I think
dull.
rivalry died as soon as Michael Jordan retired, right? Like there is no rivals. Like you're right. Like it's so cyclical, right? Before let me say this. Before the Lakers became great, they had to overcome their nemesis, the Celtics, right?
Yes. Uh huh. Uh huh.
Before the Bulls became great, they had to overcome their nemesis and hated rival, the Pistons, right?
Hmm. Yep. Right.
And you just continue that thing over and over again, but there's no rivalry, and rivalry becomes there's hatred and everything else. The
Yep.
only thing closest thing I've seen to rivalry just happened this weekend. That was with Jawan Howard knocking the crap out of the Michigan coach. I'm
Listen,
sorry, the Wisconsin coach on the
that's
sideline.
college basketball. The rivalries in the college world are still good, but in the NBA, it's boring. I sent you a message earlier. There was two numbers I wanted you to ask me about. Well, do you know do you remember what those two numbers were?
23 and 40.
Okay, I'll tell you this: those two numbers relate to centers. Okay,
Yeah.
the centers who played in yesterday's All Star game. The number 40 is the number of rebounds those centers pulled down. That's although combined, both teams, all centers from both teams combined. That's the total
Wow.
number of rebounds. That's normal. That's respectable. You would think, right?
Yeah, you're
It's
absolutely
it's
right.
it's it's it's, it's okay. Now the number 23. Do you know what that number was?
Besides Jordan's number and
No,
LeBron
no, no.
James trying to steal that number.
23 in the All Star game this weekend. That is the combined number of 3-point shots that the centers took in yesterday's All Star game.
Are you serious? Oh my god.
Absolutely. 20 the center if in our day if the center was out at the top of the key, the coach was going to kick his butt at the next timeout. That's the the center. You put your big ass down there under the basket. You keep people from getting to the rim. You keep people from getting the ball. Throw. Barkley and Rodman. That was their domain. You didn't get that. Well, Barkley wasn't. Neither of them were actually centers. But you didn't
Yeah.
come down. And maybe maybe they're too scared to go down there in the paint and get their pretty little faces messed up.
So let me. I'm gonna make this a controversial statement, but I think it's legit. Steph Curry changed this NBA game forever. He
Um,
was the one who changed this NBA game forever.
I'll take your controversial statement a step further. Steph Curry is the player who changed the NBA game forever for the worse.
Yeah, well, listen, I enjoy watching Steph Curry. I love watching him throw. I mean, his
He's a
shot is so
sweet
sweet.
he's a sweet player. Yeah, yeah. He's got a sweet game, a sweet shot. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you.
It's a beautiful shot, but the problem is everybody's trying to implement that, right? Even like you talk about, the bigs are trying to implement that. Man, I don't need to see my big guys chucking up threes. And another thing too, look, as the game expands, right? As the game gets bigger and bigger, don't you think it's time? It's time for the 3-point line to be moved out even further, widen the court out, make the court bigger, and raise the hoop to like 11
Yeah.
and a half feet.
No, no, I'm not. I don't like either of those. I don't think I think raising the hoop would take out the attacking the basket and the dunks. I say take the three
I
point.
disagree.
I
I
say
disagree.
I say take the 3-point line away altogether. Just shoot the ball.
You got guys like
If you want to shoot from the top of the key, great, uncontested and you're open, shoot from the top of the key. But the percentage of it used to be true that the closer to the rim you are, the higher the percentage of making a shot. Now all these kids just sit there and practice the long range jumpers all day long. But
so let me say this,
it's dull.
Sam. Look, the sports evolve, technology evolves, and these players are bigger, stronger, and faster. Okay, so I get it, but here's the deal, man. Like just like Tiger Woods changed golf, and they
Mhm.
had to expand and widen the golf course. I know that these players, are used to shooting 10.5-foot rims all their life, and it's going to change their shot and everything else. But they're pros, right? They're pros.
Yeah. Okay.
I these guys are literally playing basketball on what we consider like when we were kids. Remember those plastic goals that we would have as kids, and we would
You
dunk
put
on
it
them
you
and
put it on
blow
top
up
of
the
your
entire
closet door.
yeah.
Those little
Yeah,
things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, all right.
yeah, and what I mean? That's what the basketball is right now. But I think to make this sport basically basically evolve into what the sport is today, man. You got to change something, man. You got to because the basketball games suck now, dude. I mean, they're just like I don't want to see a 7'6" guy grab a ball and literally when his tippy toes, dunk the basketball. I mean, to me, there's no skill in that, man. I mean, there's no skill in that.
But I think back to Michael Jordan. Not only was
Flatten the ball.
he was an amazing basketball player, but the shots that he would take and the shots that he would make, he made it to score. I mean, a lot of times, if he would back up 2-3 feet, that 2-point jumper would have been a 3-point shot. But he didn't do that because the percentage was better the closer he was to the rim.
Yeah,
And
I
so
agree with Cliff
plays were
Allen.
designed for that.
I agree with Cliff Allen. Got to let high school guys play after graduation. I agree.
I agree totally. If you're good
This
enough
is
to
not
go,
football.
if you're good enough to go to the pros, go. Don't go to Kansas for 1 year and hamstring that program. I think the one and dones in the college basketball world have
It's
hurt
the
college
worst.
basketball.
It's the worst for college basketball. Exactly. I mean, you've got these programs like okay, you got these programs that literally, I mean, they're great for a year and they're gone. I mean, it's very hard to keep a dynasty now because, I mean, again, these players are one and dones. You know what I mean? Either skip it, go to high school, or I mean, after high school, go to the NBA if these players are good, or treat college basketball like a developmental league, which it should be. It should be getting these
Mhm.
kids ready for basketball. But I mean, look, I don't want to say get off my line. I want to be like, well, back in my day, dude. But it's so true. There's any other sport that has really been affected. Oh, I mean, football's the same. Football has changed dramatically. You can't hit anybody in football.
And
But you know,
I was thinking about this as you were saying that the changes, all of the changes are for more scoring. Everyone likes more scoring, high scoring. But football has changed for high scoring. Basketball too. Baseball. Everybody wants to see everybody wants to see big time run producers, the home run hitters.
wouldn't you agree? I mean, basketball back in the '80s and '90s was probably the most popular sport, even almost as more popular than the NFL. It became such a unifying sport, man. I'm like everybody played basketball. Like we were all in the courts. Everybody.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
place that we hung
Uh-huh.
out. I mean, that's a place that you every single day I was on the court. I mean, every
Right. Mhm.
single day. I mean, it didn't
And
matter
then we went home. Then
who
we
you
went home
were.
and we're watching basketball games.
Right. Exactly. It
And
was the
the
most
next day you're
impactful
trying.
sport worldwide.
How much has that changed? Kids watch the NBA today, and then tomorrow they go and try and emulate that. I don't think that they play it as much as we did, but it's moved. I was watching. Who was I watching? Virginia Tech, North Carolina, here this weekend, and every play is designed some movement. You're trying to get one open player at the 3 point line for a 3 point shot, almost every time. And I'm sorry, it's dull. I want to see you
It
going to where you got to do the work.
it is dull, and here's the thing: I have seen a dramatic. There couldn't be any more opposite than a West Coast style basketball that has been taken. Like you have the Golden State Warriors, you have the Lakers, and you have. Yeah, I mean, you could even put the Spurs out there now. It's more of a finesse. 3-point shooting, things like that. But if you look at the East Coast and look at the Eastern Conference, you've got the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat leading that conference. These guys play defense. They're tough. They're hard. They play the ball from I mean all 24 seconds, man. They've got that they've got that more old school type ball playing. I love the East Coast, the Eastern
That's
Conference. The
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
76ers, the
That's
76ers play rough.
mhm.
The Nets play rough. The Miami Heat plays amazing defense. So does the Chicago Bulls. I mean, all five guys touches the ball. They're not chucking threes from everywhere. They're playing an inside game. I love that kind. There
Yeah,
couldn't be two more dramatic styles of basketball being played right now.
I agree with you, and um, that more old school. Oh my gosh, we are really sounding old with all the old school back in my day
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
But I mean, turn on the 19 1995 NBA Finals, and you're going to see a more competitive and a more fun product to watch than last year's NBA Finals were.
Yeah,
I I I,
yeah.
I guarantee it.
I mean, I'm just gonna call out and say that, man. I think guys like LeBron James and all these guys, they ruin the game, man. They ruin the
They
game.
they they want to be a celebrity
That's it.
and
Exactly.
right,
That's right.
but like Jordan was a celebrity. Magic and Bird and uh Olajuwon, these guys were celebrities,
So
but but basketball was first for them.
the reason why I say that is the day that he had the interview, and he says, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach," and he created that three, with Dwayne Wade and himself, and I mean, and created this like, look, I'm going to go out and create my own team and have and the second the NBA gave these players the the asylum to run, it ruined the sport. I mean, these players, I mean,
you still had
creating these super teams all the time. I mean, it more so backfires in their face, right? Look what's going on with the Lakers right now. I mean, you've got Westbrook can't stay on the court. He's just going crazy. I mean, LeBron is always trying to chase the ring with a new set of teams and creates these powerhouses. It doesn't work that way.
Well, LeBron went to Los Angeles, to get into the TV game, the movie game. I mean, he did the Space Jam reboot. He executive produces two or three shows.
Clifton,
what you got?
Here's the deal, man. Clifton, I'm going to get this guy on. If he wants to come on, I want to end this debate. Here we go. If I can get this guy on, I've been wanting to talk to him regarding LeBron James. He's a big LeBron James lover, and he sits there and tells me and tells everybody online that LeBron James is the best basketball player ever in history, more so better than Michael Jordan. So if you're up for it, Clifton, bring it on.
I would. Let's see. I'm going to put Jordan above him. I'm going to put Magic above him. I'm going to put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar above him. I'm going to put Jerry West above him. I'm going to put there's about 9 Celtics that I can't think of. Can't come on. Got his kids tonight. Next show. Okay. All right. What we'll do, and I'll pull up this stuff. I'm not just going to talk stats. Anybody can score, but what you do to the game. And what you do in the game, more so. There's no way that.
Oh, he can't come on. He's got his kid.
He was no problem. He tried to be as good as Jordan, but he's not. He's not quite there. Part of it is he won't keep his mouth shut.
So the only thing I'll say, and I'll wait till next show. The only thing I'm going to say is this: how many NBA championships did Michael Jordan lose?
He didn't lose any, did he? I don't think Jordan ever lost in the finals. He won 3 with the Bulls, took 2 years off to play baseball, came back and won 3 more with the Bulls.
He never lost. He never lost a championship.
Yeah.
He never lost a championship. He's never had a game go to Game 7 in a championship.
I don't think it is. The way that Jordan played, and it's you talk about super teams. Those teams that were around Jordan, they were built to. This is Jordan's deficiency, so we're going to have this guy. They brought Rodman in to rebound the ball. He had Scottie Pippen. So if you want to double Jordan, Pippen's going to take care of you.
Clifton. Listen, he's not a one-man show. Jordan was never a one-man show. But let me tell you something, man. Like the teams that he had, he had Pippen for his entire playoff run. Okay. He didn't go from team to team to team and try to bounce around and try to create these super teams. Yeah. He had Pippen and Rodman. I mean, Rodman was there for 2 of them, and he had Steve Kerr. I mean, he didn't have this great all-star team of talent, man. I mean, he constantly, what is he, like a 5-time MVP? I mean, it's unreal. But anyway, as I said, it's 2 different eras. It's 2 different areas.
And I think basketball is
because the game's changed.
As near in time as Jordan and LeBron are, it is a very, very, very different game.
I would even say Kobe Bryant's better than LeBron James. Kobe Bryant was incredible.
I'd take a Kobe Bryant before I take a LeBron James because I've talked about this. I caught some grief when I called Russell Wilson a cancer for his team. I think LeBron James is a cancer for his team. Let's say that LeBron James next year wants to come here and play in Washington with the Wizards, and he brings 2 other guys with him, but it's all going to be about him. It's not about the team. And he plays so he plays here in Washington for 2 years and then he's gone, and then what? What's Cleveland got going on? What's Miami, how long did it take them to get back?
But that's the same thing that Michael Jordan did. I don't want to see like the reject LeBron James, because here's the deal. Like the Lakers, I'm going to say this. The Lakers right now should be shopping LeBron James. They're ninth. They're
Absolutely.
ninth in the
Absolutely.
West, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's got no help, right? Anthony Davis just went out with a broken ankle. He's gone for the rest of the year, right?
Mhm.
Russell Westbrook doesn't want to play with LeBron. I mean, it's very they got rid of all their backup guys, you know. It's time for the Lakers to get something back, and I think they need to trade LeBron to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Cliff, I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to disagree with you on two of your comments here. LeBron shops himself. Yes, he absolutely does, and that aspect of it, I want to I want to go to a city. I'm the best there is in the game today. I want to go to the city. I'm going to be the backbone, and we can build it around me, and we are all going to have success together. That's not LeBron James's deal. But I'm gonna disagree with you on one other thing you said here. Jordan is like Elvis. People say he's the best just because he was the first of his kind. No, Michael Jordan was not
Wilton
the
Chamberlain. Wilton Chamberlain
Michael
was the
Jordan was
first of his
not the
kind.
first of his kind. Michael Jordan uh, uh, um, is a I think of him a little bit in the mold of a Magic Johnson, a better shooter than Magic Johnson, and but not quite the passer. But he took the mantle of how good Magic was in his time, and then he raised the bar over what Magic Johnson was.
I think Michael Jordan. I don't think Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson's games are anywhere close to the same.
I in their leadership, the games ran through them. The game,
Yeah,
the Showtime Lakers with Worthy and Jabbar and Magic. The game came through Magic, and it was his shot first to take, just like it was with
but
Jordan.
Magic always passed it up. He was one of the greatest assist guys ever to be known.
It
Michael
was he, wa-
Jordan was
he was not
one of the
he
most
was not
clutch
that
shooters in
bad
the
of a he
NBA
was not
history.
that bad of a score. It's the game ran through Magic. The game ran through Jordan.
Yeah,
And
I,
and and
I don't know, man. I mean,
See, I know,
I think
I'm not saying
Ma-
that they're the same players.
Magic was a big. He could play the 4. He could play the 2 or the 3,
He
right?
played
And he
one.
did. That's what
He played one as well.
But he
He was
was
he was a very odd shaped point guard. And see,
yeah.
I think with Jordan, I think Jordan could play 1, 2, 3, any of those positions as well.
I don't think Jordan was a forward.
No, I don't think he was, but I think he could have. I think
Yeah,
he had the game of he had the game that a forward he could go down with the forwards and play.
yeah. Listen, you have to be Clifton. You have to be like he was. He was the biggest jerk. First of all, ESPN did a great job on the Michael Jordan series, like the Bulls and that whole thing, that 30 for 30 thing or whatever they did. He was the biggest jerk. There's no doubt about it. But
Mhm.
he let his uber competitive take it over. But you know who else was? Kobe Bryant. You know who else is? LeBron James. I mean, they all
Yeah,
are. They
yeah,
all are.
yeah.
LeBron
It's
does play 1 through 5.
oh,
He does play 1
okay.
through 5. Yep, he does. But I mean, again, you can't compare. First of all, you can't compare the two. Like, first of all, LeBron gets hit. He cries. He's looking at the ref. He's always, complaining and everything else. And I mean, he doesn't like the physicality. He doesn't like the physicality. There's no way LeBron could ever have played in Jordan's era and survive. He wouldn't even become close.
How would you how would
He
you like
would
to see
get
this,
crushed.
Greg?
Bill
That's where I
Lambier
was
would
going.
shut
Is
down.
exactly
Bill Lambier
Bill
would have shut
Lambier would
down
have
LeBron James.
thrown LeBron James into the sixth row just for the fun of it,
Yes, absolutely. He
and then he
would
would have
have
done it again
shut
on the
him
next
down.
time down the court.
Listen, Akeem
It's
Olajuwon would have crushed
LeBron
LeBron.
plays with a bunch of softies. So if you
Yeah,
play with all of these soft players in today's NBA, then James's skill set
they
does make
let
him the
him.
best today.
It's like, man, like these NBA players when he's driving down, half court. It's like these NBA players just open up the lane for this guy, let him, showcase his skill. It's crazy. Like I can't remember a hard foul on LeBron. I can't remember one. Name me a hard foul that LeBron fell to the court after trying to go up for the jam. There hasn't been one. I mean, they're scared of this guy.
No, and yeah, that's what we're talking about. The different eras, and I think the era that James plays in started changing a little bit before him. The game started getting a little softer even before him.
You know who would have been great to see one-on-one would have been Dennis Rodman versus LeBron.
Yeah, yeah. Rodman wouldn't have played his game either.
Rodman was a very underrated defensive player.
He absolutely was.
Do
He
you
was he was great. He was
there's an
great.
NBA game there's an NBA game there's several NBA championship games where he had, like, 20 rebounds and 10 assists and 0 points.
And I think if he had 20 rebounds, 10 assists, he might have 0 shots
Yeah,
because he was
yeah,
he
but his
that.
defense was choking.
But he came to them and said, Look, you've got the scorers out there. I'll get the ball, and they if they
That's
happen to
true,
miss,
Russell.
I'll get it."
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Kareem Olajuwon Kareem,
Abdul-Jabbar.
Abdul-Jabbar, if he was allowed to dunk, I mean, he created that hook shot, that famous hook shot, because you're
Mhm.
right. They couldn't jam the hoop, man. I mean,
Yeah,
you're right. Just think how
and
many how many
I'm gonna give you one more thing too. And Cliff, you can love LeBron James. That's fine. But LeBron James, the logo of the NBA is not a picture of LeBron James and his awful beard, the worst beard in the world.
yeah.
The logo
It's
is
almost
one
it's an Amish
Jerry
beard.
West, native of West Virginia. Jerry West.
I say I've been something I want to see is I want them to change it to Kobe's image. I think they should change it to Kobe's image.
We would fight over that, Greg. Sorry.
I'm just telling you. I mean, Kobe
I,
Kobe
I can't say
Kobe
I can't say I would
Kobe had a
actually
more
hate it.
impact. Kobe had a more impact um, influence on players and kids today than Jerry West ever had, or
Yeah,
any of the
yeah,
other NBA
yeah, yeah,
players.
yeah. He probably did and probably has, and there is a time where it should be given up. You should move and you should update. Although I think that they will, if they ever did that, I don't think that they would make it another player because then that player has to be um, immortalized, idolized. The idea that it's Jerry West isn't even that good of an idea. It looks pretty
Well, I
good.
mean, let me just say this, not to make this a racial thing, but I mean, like 78 or 80% of the players are black. Why not have somebody like a Kobe Bryant who's very influential? And you have to. I mean, look, what's wrong with changing the image? I don't understand. I mean, Jerry West. You think these kids care about what Jerry West did? No way, man.
Yeah,
Kobe Bryant.
Cliff, I agree with you that Jerry West isn't even a top 5 Laker, but that's because the list of the great Lakers is about that long. That's
Yeah,
that's how big that list goes.
yeah. But anyway, man, I mean, anyway, I can't believe we spent literally a half hour talking about the NBA. That was completely unexpected.
We're
But
turning this into the Cliff Show.
yeah, hey,
It's not Cheers. This is Motion Sports the show.
I want him on the show next week.
We'll
We'll
have
talk about this.
we'll have
Michael Jordan.
Cliff, it'd be awesome to have you. I'd like to um I'd like to be able to talk to someone who's a big LeBron James fan. That means
Yeah.
that you're more knowledgeable about today's era of the NBA than I am, and I'd like to hear some of
All
the
you
stuff.
have to do is ask Nike how much money they've made off of LeBron compared to how much they've made off of Air Jordans alone. I mean, there's no Air LeBron. You know what I mean? So anyway, I think
It's I
yeah,
and I'll tell you this one last thing to close on. I was never a Michael Jordan fan. All throughout his NBA playing time, I was never a Michael Jordan fan. I was always a Laker fan, and so my guys were Magic, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then Kobe Bryant. When Kobe Bryant came to the Lakers, I loved it. I loved the player and then they got Shaq and Kobe together. I loved being a Laker fan
they
then.
were dynamic.
They hated each other, but they were great on the court together.
Yeah, they were dynamic. They were. the only team I would say closest to Jordan Pippen would have been Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
I put Jordan Pippen 1, and I mean Shaq Kobe is be a close 2. I mean, I mean you can't even put LeBron in anybody. I mean LeBron and
LeBron,
Dwayne Wade.
and that's the LeBron James attitude is I can't have someone as good as me. I have to
Yeah,
be the best. And Shaq, granted, like I said, Shaq and Kobe did not like each other there after a time, but they when it was time to step on the court, they wanted to play basketball and they wanted to win.
Shaq Penny back in the Orlando Magic days.
Yeah,
I
that
remember
was
when
some
Shaq was drafted out of LSU, and he went to Orlando. I
Orlando.
mean,
Hmm.
Penny
Hmm.
Hardaway. I tell you what, Penny Hardaway. It was very interesting. After Shaq left, his career just went down the toilet. But
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway was a great player.
There was some.
Great player.
There was some. Those that time. Think about Tim Duncan, David Robinson, their time with the Spurs. There was some. uh,
We can't get off
when you start going
basketball.
when you start going down this rabbit hole, you're stuck.
I want to say
And I
this.
just I'm not. There's no player like okay, sure.
Ooh,
Steph Curry has a great shot. He'd be fun to see. I'm I'm all alone. There's only one of me on the screen. No. Dang it, and now totally lost my train of thought. So, Greg, I hope you come back, and I hope I'm not just talking. Eh,
Cliff Allen. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Cliff Allen said, "Give
Yep,
me
yep, yep.
Duncan." Yeah, yeah. Duncan Robinson is a great tandem
Ooh,
too.
yeah, that's
Um,
yeah they
Again, going back to the All-Star game, I mean, one of the favorite things I remember, man, was the dunk contest. Who was the greatest dunk guy? In I would say it was the Dominique Wilkins and or Vince Carter.
Vince
Remember
Carter
Vince Carter?
yeah he was pretty. Oh man,
I
I
say he's
can't.
probably had the.
Oh
I
man,
would say
who's
Vince Carter's performance in the dunk contest was probably the greatest ever.
there's one of them
Or Jordan from the foul line
Jordan
when he
from the
did the foul
foul
line.
line, Vince Carter, and I can't. Why can't I pull the guy's name now? Reebok pumps.
Sean Kemp.
Sean Kim, no, who was the kid that wore the Reebok pumps, and before he takes his last dunk, he bends down, he pumps up his shoes, and then he goes and
Oh yeah.
because he's like, who in the heck was it? He played for the Celtics. Why can't I pull?
Yeah,
Come
you're
on,
right, right,
come
right,
on,
right.
Cliff Russell, somebody help us out with with the name. It's killing me that I can't think of this. There's no, we're not it. All right, I'm gonna go find. Okay. I'm going to Google search stuff myself here now.
Who was
Uh,
that?
uh,
Oh, D
yeah,
Brown. D Brown.
T Brown.
D Brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Spud Webb could go too. He could fly. There was, I mean, there was some great dunkers.
Vince Carter donates $10 million to his high school, Daytona Beach, Midland. Yep, you're right. I'm very familiar with Vince Carter's mainland high school. I grew up in Daytona as a kid, so I know exactly what you're talking about, man. Tracy McGrady, yeah, that was another good one. But
Uh-huh.
I would say the greatest moment in the dunking contest history was when Jordan launched from the foul line.
It
That has,
was.
I mean, that
It's
was the pinnacle. I mean, that's what actually broke if the internet was it was on back then, that would have broke the internet back then. There's no doubt about it. I
yeah.
mean, that moment created the dunk contest.
I think the dunk contest was in its infancy. Then when Jordan did that, and he took it, and then I want to say it was the next year that the All Star game was in Chicago, and it was uh, Jordan went up against Dominique Wilkins in that dunk contest. The year after the foul line dunk, the iconic dunk. Um, but those two, watching them go back and forth during that one, that was fun. That was a
Yeah, the old
blast.
windmill, man. The old windmill dunk, man, from Dominique Wilkins
Yeah.
was
So
something else. But anyway, I can't. As I said, those were fun times, man. Those are fun times. All right, let's get on to more sports this weekend, man. We had you're going to have to lead this one because I didn't. I watched basically the last 20 laps of this. The Daytona 500 was actually this weekend, and I have no idea, Sam, who these drivers are. And this is not the Daytona 500 that I know and I remember. I'll say this. The car concept I thought was great. The cars looked fantastic. It was a more even Daytona 500. The only problem I have to say this is this. It was way too these cars are so daggone similar to one another now that there was what was it? 25 cars that were crashed or wrecked out of the Daytona 500. And I just don't like that, man. I mean, because I get it, everybody watches NASCAR just for the wrecks, but that doesn't determine the greater driver. It doesn't determine the greater team.
No.
The Daytona 500 has turned nothing more into a freaking bull ring of very similar cars that have no dominance over no team that's dominant over one another. And I don't think I don't think it proves anything. Like, who's this guy? This guy, Austin Cedric? Who's this guy who won it?
His dad works for Penske Racing. I learned that about the kid this morning. And
you know what, though? I was glad to see that.
Do we have to talk about another sport, and we're going to talk about the back in my day? I'm trying to not do that.
Wallace did not win the freaking race. I'm so glad that he didn't win the race, man. Screw that dude. He can go on down the road. I mean, but I don't. The new car. Listen, when Austin Cedric got out and he won the race, I'm like, dude, this guy's Sasha Cohen. This guy's boring.
Yeah, he kind of looks a little bit like that. Yeah, it's where the Bushes, Hamlin, Keselowski, Logano, these guys are still racing, but I don't believe that they have the personalities, the dominant personalities that Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon and those guys did. I don't know what that Sterling Marlin, good driver there too.
Good pull, man.
Yeah, Sterling
Marlin killed Dale Earnhardt though. He killed Dale. He'll be forever known as killing Dale Earnhardt. So anyway,
but
the Kodak car.
Are you gonna the Kodak car was Ernie Irvan?
No, he's number 4. He was number 4 Kodak. Sterling Marlin raced it.
He raced his number 4. I guess it was after.
It was after Ernie Irvan.
Sterling Marlin was the silver bullet. Coors Light
at one time. Yeah, I mean,
that's what I remember. I remember Sterling Marlin as.
Yeah.
But NASCAR has been trying to reinvent themselves ever since.
NASCAR. I'm gonna say this. I'm putting the sledgehammer down. NASCAR is dead. NASCAR is as dead as MLF. NASCAR is done. Boom. It's over. It's over. Like,
well, hold on.
They left their fans in the track. They literally forgot who they are. I mean, dude, they were racing in the LA Coliseum, for God's sakes. I mean, they have to understand who their roots are. Their roots are out of the Southeast. They don't want those fans anymore. They want the corporate atmosphere. That Daytona 500, what I watched, when you don't have a clue who more than half of these race car drivers are, I'm out. Like you know what kind of fan I was. I was a huge fan of NASCAR.
Absolutely.
I'm out. Done. I'm not going to watch a single race for the rest of the year. I'm out. I know you kept on texting me. We need to follow it. No, dude, I'm done.
No, I wasn't. Probably should have looked this up before now, but I'm gonna. Let's see. Do they have a pull a number in by now? I was trying to go see what
the ratings.
What the ratings were. I'm not seeing.
Dude, it was on FS2. It was on Fox Sports. Not 1. It was on 2. I mean, give me a break, dude. Like, listen, the KFL would be on Fox Sports 2. I mean, that's how bad it was.
Yeah, but they were
Chad Hoover's fishing show is on Fox Sports 2.
They did sell out Daytona, and it's even pre-pandemic, racing at Daytona, the Daytona 500, attendance had been down badly,
Yeah. Well, see,
and to sell the place out, that's quite an accomplishment for them this
Russell
year, I
said that
believe.
there's no rivalry like in the past. That's the same with the NBA. This is exactly what we're talking about. We're like
Yeah,
we're reliving the past, but you're right, dude. There is
right.
no rivalry. I mean, look, Ford and Chevy had an awesome rivalry, right? It was
Hmm. Hmm.
Earnhardt versus like Rusty Wallace, or
Yeah,
Earnhardt
yeah,
versus just about the whole entire field, to be
yeah,
honest
yeah.
with you.
It
But
was.
you had dedicated diehard fans, but NASCAR died. I'm sorry, NASCAR died to over 30 years, was it 25 years ago when Dale Earnhardt hit the wall and died in Daytona. That's it, the sport changed. It's dead since then.
It did. I still think there were some racers then that were trying their best to pick up the mantle, from what Dale Earnhardt did. But NASCAR as a corporation, a sports league, hurt themselves when they implemented this goofy playoff format that isn't the same year after year after year.
No,
Um, and I had somebody telling me over, here this past week that it was, NASCAR did it to get Dale Earnhardt Jr. A shot at winning a title. He didn't consistently race that well over a season, so they just needed to be good for a little bit and then get in
yeah,
the playoffs, and we'll try and get you a championship. And I see some truth to that. Um, but why turn your sport so upside down, inside out?
Russ. Let me tell you something. Let me give you a little secret about NASCAR. Okay, talk about how they sell out. Back back in the '90s, when the pinnacle. I think the pinnacle of the sport was again Dale Earnhardt's 7 championship run. And it was amazing. Basically, again, we talk about the pinnacle of the NBA. NASCAR's pinnacle was basically late '80s throughout the '90s, but Daytona got rid of the entire backstretch of bleachers. Man, I used to go on turn two backstretch. That was my seat. Turn two backstretch, watching the action back there, and it was nothing but a big, huge party. They got rid of the entire backstretch stands. But Russ, you got to understand, back then, the entire Daytona 500, other than turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, were all seated, and all those both grandstands on the back and front were sold out. It was 175,000 to 200,000, or I'm sorry, I think it was 400,000 at its pinnacle of people at that race every single year. They have cut those stands out. It's half of it is it's all front stretch stands now, and it's not what you think, man. It's not what you think. Most of them are corporate. Most of them are friends and family and all this other stuff, dude. It's a completely different atmosphere, man. Trust me, I've been there. I cover it. I mean, I lived in Daytona, in terms of, every summer I would go there and watch it, man. I was a huge NASCAR junkie. It's not the same. And if you go look at all these other NASCAR races, it's nowhere near sold out, dude. Why do you think they color the seats rainbow color, like yellow, blue, brown? Because they want to make it look like there's people in the seats, man. It's just not there.
It's really a bummer because at its core, auto racing is awesome. And okay, you need sponsors to put these cars out there. And you talk about the sport dying after Dale
Hockey,
Earnhardt died.
hockey and NASCAR are the greatest two sports to watch live.
Okay, never haven't been to a NASCAR race. That'd be a
Football's the
fun one to
worst.
get to see. But so as I was saying, when Dale Earnhardt died, the corporate money uh, dried up in a sense that you don't. Dale Earnhardt drove the number 3 Goodwrench Chevrolet. Now you have many cars, most cars with multiple sponsors. So you're going to run this paint scheme this week and another paint scheme next week. You're 2 sponsors, and half of these sponsors, I couldn't even tell you. Austin Cedric, who won the race, his sponsor was Discount Tires, I think. Who in the
I
heck is
don't know.
that? Do you think I'm
I
going
don't
to go
know.
buy a discount? No, no, no. But but you can't get Gatorade and Pepsi and Coca Cola.
Sam, let me tell you something, man.
Put their names on the side.
I used to own a car, and I'm no joke. I mean, you know this. I was in Hooters,
Yeah,
broke up, I owned a car, and my JJ was our driver and good friends. I know the
yeah.
business end of it. Guys, it costs $25 million to run a team per year. Okay, I mean that's just the truth. It costs to be a highly competitive team. It costs the team's $25 million a year.
Mhm,
Guys,
mhm.
they're not bringing that kind of money in. Okay, they're not bringing
No.
that kind of money in from sponsors now. Okay, these
But
teams are
that's why
starving
they've
themselves
gone
to
to
death.
multiple sponsors to
Well,
you can't get with somebody. One won't give you 10, but maybe three will give you four
right,
apiece.
they're paying per race. But here's the deal, guys. The sponsors have learned that it's not worth it's not worth it. To put your name on the hood, it's not worth it
If you
anymore
don't have the eyeballs on your
because you don't have the
rolling
eyeballs, right?
billboard,
Exactly. So here's the concept, and this started again, about 10 years ago. Hendricks was very successful in NASCAR, not because he made money in NASCAR. A lot of these teams, the Joe Gibbses of the world, they don't make money in NASCAR. Here's what they do. Here's what they do, guys. Like Hendricks, he owns dealerships all across the Southeast. Okay. And it used to be the fact that if you win on Sunday, you sold on Monday,
Yep.
right? These manufacturers who won, their the fans and their loyal fan base to the type of car like the Ford or Chevy or Toyota or whatever, they would always be influenced on their purchases based on what would happen on the track. It's the God's honest truth. The the Hendricks guys used NASCAR to help. Um, Facilitate tax write-offs and things like that and help brand their dealerships. The dealerships are the ones who's making the money, not NASCAR, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't have that kind of capital, if you don't have that network spread across all over, your geographical regions, the Joe Gibbs again, I use Hendricks all the time, then you're not going to survive. And that's why you have guys like even you know, Penske has cut down their team in half. You know, um,
Does
the,
Penske even run Indy cars? I think they still run. They still have an Indy car uh, team. I think that Penske may have won. Roger Penske may have won Indy last year.
who was the owner of Tony Stewart, man? The name's slipping my tongue, but
Why
anyway,
can't
I
I?
mean
Why
he's
can't I get
completely.
that either?
So, I can't remember the guy, but
He,
anyway,
he, he
he's
it was somebody that had something to do with that with Indy as well. Dang it! Why can't I figure that out? I was a
yeah,
big Tony Stewart fan way back then.
but he's out of NASCAR completely now too. So you have these independent shops coming through, and they're just making it. Some of these guys literally need to make paycheck to paycheck to get to the next race. I mean, but that's not sustainable for NASCAR. That's not sustainable. I think, and again, I wish we had Brian Donati on, but we could tell you a little bit more about it. But um, NASCAR as a whole has done so much damage, to its core base. Then like all these underground leagues are doing
Yeah,
much,
yeah.
much better, right? All these
Okay,
underground things. And Formula One's doing better because of it.
okay, Greg. All right. So tomorrow you get named president, CEO, and head pasta maker at NASCAR. What changes are you going to implement? You're tasked with fixing the sport of NASCAR. What are you going to do? You've got every tool at your disposal. What do you do?
Okay, absolutely. First of all, I'm cutting out every single mile and a half track. Gone.
Yes.
Every mile and a half track is gone.
There's nothing worse than a mile and a half racetrack.
And
They are beyond boring.
I would cut the season down in half. Okay. I would get rid of the playoffs. The playoffs are gone. The schedule gets cut down in half. Okay. And the field is going to be capped out at 32. Okay.
Okay.
32
All right.
cars. And if you want to make it into the race, like every race would have a Saturday race qualifier. Okay.
Okay. All right. All
So
right.
you would have the top 25 in points would be in automatically.
Okay.
Okay, to the next race. I don't care what your name is. I don't care what it is. If you're in the top 25 in points, you're in. The 7 would have to race their way in like they do the Busch Clash on the Daytona
Okay.
500, and the remaining cars will have to race their way in. And the top 7 of that Saturday race moves into the into the Sunday race.
Okay.
And Russell Kennedy nailed it. I would bring back the old tracks. I would bring
Get
back
get him get him
North
racing
Wilkesboro. Yeah,
and the rock and it
I would. And here's another thing too. I'm not putting.
for every short track or for every mile and a half track that you get rid of, add a short track back. Absolutely,
I'll
absolutely. I'd watch short
100%.
track racing over a mile and a half every day of the
I
week.
would see. Here's how I would do it. I would mix it. Here's how I would do it. I would do a super speedway like Daytona. I would go to Bristol. Okay, the next race.
Hmm.
Then I would go to Michigan. Okay, I would go to the 2 mile track in Michigan because you go 200 miles an hour at Michigan. Okay,
Michigan's one of the fastest tracks. Yeah.
exactly. So I would rotate that out. So I would go Daytona, Bristol, Michigan. I would go then to Talladega, right? And then I would go to another short track like a North Wilkesboro or Darlington, right? And
Yeah,
then I would
yeah.
go, and then I would go to Texas.
Darlington's like it. Isn't Darlington like a 1.6 mile
Yeah,
something?
but dude,
There,
you could go 200 miles an hour and
it's its
scrape the
own
wall.
thing.
It's an
Darlington's its
old
own
legend.
thing.
It's an
Yeah,
old
yeah.
legend.
Hmm.
And then, I would throw in like, and then, again, the short tracks like a Martinsville, which I'm not a real fan of, but I would find like Eldora. I love
Oh
Eldora.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So,
Something like that, but again,
what do
I
you do
would
about
bring it
what do you do
back to the
about racing
roots
in
of racing.
California? I mean,
I get
I'd
rid of
say it's a good
California.
I'd say it's a good idea to go out there once a year.
I,
But I think how many times aren't they? Don't they race in California 3 or 4 times?
so here's my track. Here's my tracks. I would keep in. It's your big ones: Daytona, Talladega, Bristol, Michigan, Dover, Poconos. I would keep a road course like Sonoma. Probably would be my
Okay, all right.
my California.
So you're going to California for Sonoma. Okay, all right.
I would go to road racing out in California.
Hmm.
Okay, I wouldn't go to the California Speedway. Um, I would get rid of Homestead. Like that would not be
Okay,
my
all right,
finale.
all right. Yeah,
Okay, there's no
I'd
way.
fin- I think you should finish it at Darlington or Charlotte.
I think Charlotte would be a great way to finish it.
Here's something. Let me give you this. So you have your call it almost like a home and away schedule. Um, after you take a period of time where you keep these guys, all the teams consolidated in North South Carolina, Southern Virginia, places like that.
Yeah, Richmond's a great track
You've got to
too.
find a track in Tennessee and Kentucky to race at. So keep these guys home, and then send them on a trip. You send them to California, Phoenix, Michigan. We're getting rid of Kansas.
Yeah,
Now it's like they were in Daytona this week. Next week is California. That's a huge
it's
expense
crazy.
getting the team out there. But you're not.
That's
But you're
crazy
going
to
to do
me.
that like they have to run from east to west like 3 times. That's it.
No,
That's very very
and that's
bad.
what I'm saying. That's crazy to me. I mean, that makes zero sense. And I
So,
know
so,
what
so
they're
there's
trying to
some
do.
things
They're
that can
trying to
be done to save some.
market it.
But if you do it where okay, well let's send them all out west now, and they're out
Yeah,
west. They stay out west, and then they come back east, and we're done with it.
no,
You're
no.
saving the team some money there.
The root of NASCAR has always been the Southeast. Okay,
Mhm.
you have to capture that again. And here's another thing too. Okay, again, I would make my stars. I would create some sort of rivalry. I mean, like back in the day, guys, NASCAR used to create theater and literally egg on an Earnhardt and a Rusty Wallace and everything else, and
They
it
loved
was
it. Yeah,
just
yeah.
they absolutely loved it. They would fake
Mhm.
they would fake the punishments or whatever to these guys, but they knew that that's what drew ratings out. And also too, here's another thing, guys. I would create a board of directors with old drivers like a Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, all these other guys like Kevin
That's
Harvick, who's still
that's
racing,
that's
but
an
I would get their input into racing.
That's an amazing idea. The guys who helped build the sport into what it is. Let's keep them, and you put them on maybe couple year contracts, and so that you can rotate these people in and out, and you have room to bring in
So
10 years from now you could be bringing Denny Hamlin in to add to your board of
I would
directors.
I would take those guys and I would make them look, guys, like Jeff Gordon, you are going to head up the two races out of Charlotte. You're going to be in charge of everything from A to Z. You're going to be the president of Charlotte. Tony Stewart, you're going to be the president of Bristol. I mean, I would head them up to all these different tracks and let them take those races and be their babies and be basically the marshal of those races, man. That's how I would do it. And then look, and here's another thing too. The point system I would keep so simple. And I think kayak fishing ought to do this, by the way. I think there ought to be a point system in kayak fishing. And I think it ought to work this way. You take the number of people that are in the field, okay? If there's, like I said, 32, if there's 32 racers, first place gets 32 points. How simple is that? Okay. Plus 5. I would give it an additional 5 points for the win. Okay.
Greg,
can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello.
Sure. Or is it me?
Yep.
Hopefully everybody can still hear Greg.
All right. Can you hear me? There we go. Can you hear me? Hello.
Hey, is it me? It's me.
I don't know. Let me know if you can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. All right. It's Sam. Sam, you muted yourself, buddy. All right. Anyway, so I would take 32 points. Can you hear me, Sam? You're muted, dude. It's him.
There's a mute here. There's a mute here. Too many stinking mutes. So
well, now your headphones are not working. But anyway, it's going through the computer. This show's going off the rest. But I would take 32 points, Sam, and I would give them an extra bonus point of 5 points. I think kayak fishing ought to do the same thing, man. Take how many people are in the field and give them that many points in the AOI, and then give them an additional bonus point for winning. Winning's everything, man. Winning's everything to me.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you should be rewarded for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's the way NASCAR should do it. And then again, and then you have the championship, and you tier out the championship, right? So I think you have to be in the top 10 to qualify for the championship, right? But I wouldn't make a playoff system. Like, no way. I mean, my final race would be a short track race because, again, a lot of these guys grew up in the short track. I would probably make it either Charlotte or even Richmond. I think Richmond's a great track.
I don't think Charlotte's Charlotte isn't really a short track. It's more of a
no. I would say Charlotte or a short track.
Okay, so, all right. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Charlotte or a short track. Yeah. I like the idea of it coming home to Charlotte. I think that's. But you
NASCAR,
like you're very. I like what you're doing. You're drawing it back to its roots, but. Can you expand, and can you be financially well off without this? I mean, I guess if you make a great product, the sponsors and the advertisers are going to come and find you.
Russell, I'll say this, man. Like Russell says, it won't happen if you have tournaments at 200 and some. Yes, it would, because a tournament win with 200 people is a greater achievement than it is with 100 people. You beat 200, you beat 100 more people. You should get more points for that. I mean, it's just you beat out 100 more people to win that. It's a greater achievement, man. So, anyway.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, my God, man. Have we seriously done a whole hour on basketball and the NBA?
One last thing. Wow. Yeah, one last thing we need to do before we go. Major League Baseball should be in training camp right now. In spring training, and they're not, and I don't know who to blame, man. I don't know who to blame. I would say here, I'm gonna say this, and Sam, me and you talked about this offline. I blame the players. I'm on the owner's side on this because baseball has these contracts guaranteed. These players make way more money than any other players in any other sport. They're guaranteed contracts. And to be honest with you, the amount of revenue that Major League Baseball is bringing in is nowhere near the revenue of the NBA, the NFL or any other sport. I don't understand how the players are asking for more money when the ratings are terrible. Okay? The ratings for the World Series was basically the same ratings as a MAC football game.
pretty darn close. Yeah, that's terrible. Look at it this way. Okay, the owners locked the players out. That's fine. So the work stoppage is on the owners, because the owners are trying to get the sport back in line financially with what they have. But here you have the players saying, I am going to tell you how to spend your money and how much of it. But as they do this, the amount of money coming in is dwindling. The amount of money coming in from World Series viewers, advertisers, and just advertisers on a whole is going down. And so what happens when that happens? Ticket prices have to go up. I guarantee beers are going to run you $25. You're going to sit in the last row for $80. Who the heck wants to do that? Who the heck can afford to do that?
Yeah. So let me just give you some numbers here, guys. Okay. So the last World Series game against the Braves that beat Houston Astros, they managed to get a 6.1 rating. That's 11 million viewers.
Ouch.
That's 11 million viewers.
That is rough.
I'm going to compare this to the Super Bowl.
I think you're comparing apples to oranges there, but I really would like to find something that's that like. Okay, what else on TV that week would have been 11 million viewers?
Okay, so here's the deal. The Super Bowl ratings, this was a 36.9 rating. It was 99.18 million people.
Okay, okay. I'm going to do math here. This should be the greatest part of the show. So would you say 99.8?
It was 9 times the amount of Major League Baseball.
Wow, that's 9 for every one person that watched baseball. 9 people watched the Super Bowl.
Correct.
That is monstrous.
Correct.
To think about it that way, and with what's going on in baseball, you're driving me further and further away. I'm as you're taking away a sport when games are going to be lost. My attention is going to go elsewhere, and you're in a bad time too, baseball. So if you come back May 1st when the NHL and NBA playoffs are at their peak, look at the Olympics. Actually, Russell, I did not look at the Olympics. It was on for 2
no
weeks.
one did.
I did not look at the Olympics. I feel bad about it in a way.
So check this out. I just looked at it as a normal day. Okay, normal day. Fox News gets 2.5 to 3 million viewers per day. Okay. So the World Series, the pinnacle of Major League Baseball's season, drawing out 9 million, and you have Fox News that averages 3 million. So I mean, 3 times the amount of people watch Fox News, and that's a cable show.
Well, no, 3 times the amount of people watch. But you said 2.5 watch Fox News and 11 watch
so 3
baseball.
Times, exactly. So 3 times the amount of people watched
baseball.
The baseball over Fox News. Averaging of Fox
over
News.
The news.
Yeah,
you're only making you're only drawing 3 times the amount of people in who watch the news. Everybody watches the freaking news. How can you? Everybody might watch Fox News. Okay, sure, but everybody, you can't.
And the reason why we're bringing that up, guys, is because the business aspect of Major League Baseball is not healthy. Okay, I mean the financial aspect. The only thing that's really healthy about it is individual television revenue, like from New York Yankees, and to have the dedicated fans, and the Boston Red Sox and things of that nature. But those are few and far between, right? And baseball doesn't have revenue sharing. Okay, it doesn't have revenue sharing like it does at the NFL. New York Yankees are worth and make way more money than the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Right. But these owners and these baseball players want, there's a luxury tax, and they want the luxury tax removed, and they want
They want
more money for the younger players.
they want it raised. There's a couple things the players want that I can get behind. Earlier access to arbitration and or
Yeah.
earlier access to
I
free
think locking in, a rookie for 5 years is ridiculous. Like Juan Soto right now.
service time manipulation is one of the worst things that the owners are doing, and that's one thing I'm on the side with the players on. It should be like when you sign, if you sign your deal, your entry level deal, the first contract you can sign can be no more than 6 years, and so you whether you're in the minors or the majors, after that 6 years, you get to negotiate your next contract.
Yeah,
but I guess you're going to hold people down there. There's some there are some bad things going on with baseball on both sides. The owners need to stop treating some of their younger players the way that they are, and realize that.
So check this out. Juan Soto, I think, is probably the best young player out there, right? I mean, from the Washington Nationals. His entire career, Sam, that he's been in Major League Baseball.
Okay,
he made $8.5 million.
That's pretty rough considering what he's brought to the team. And
that's what I'm saying.
But that's this arbitration stuff, and the weird hold up to allowing them into free agency. So then what you talk about, a player gets to be 30 years old and he gets to sign his jackpot contract. You've got the Albert Pujols who are an albatross around a team. But that you've created that because you're not letting the guy get paid earlier. If you pay them earlier, and then
have to pay a guy who's 44 years old, like a Bobby Bonilla contract.
Right,
they get paid July 1st of every year, and he gets $1.5 million from the Mets.
I think the owners are looking at that in a short-sighted nature, but they could save themselves on the back end, and then the players as well, because if you get to hit, if Soto got to hit free agency next year, and he signs a big contract, like he signs a 12-year deal, but he's only any good for 8 of it, then he's done. He's done after I'm calling it 26 and 8 is
Sam,
is 34.
I would these 10, 12 lifetime contracts, man. I don't like them, man. I mean, as a fan, I don't like them.
No,
because I mean, I do like I don't want my team to sign, this guy because they're only looking for 5 years out of a guy. And and then they have to give up like an 8-year contract because Boris, is Scott Boris is out there negotiating these like 10-year contract deals.
Yeah.
Like the worst contract I think in sports history was Alex Rodriguez's 10-year contract for $250 million. That was the worst contract ever written. Ever.
Right, and that was totally about money when that was when he went to the Rangers. There's no way. I don't get it with some baseball players. Do you want to win or do you want to get paid? Because you can't do both. Both aren't going to happen unless you go to the Yankees, and not everybody can go to the Yankees.
Yeah. I think the second worst contract ever written was Kirk Cousins' $84.5 million guaranteed contract with the Minnesota Vikings. That will never be written ever in NFL player again.
Yeah.
But I mean, as I said, I think I don't know what's going to take. I do know this week, Sam, that they're going to be at the table every single day this week.
Yeah, I heard that. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad, and they should.
Yeah, exactly.
But did you hear about the DH though?
I don't like that either, man. I know I'm grouchy tonight, but that's what makes baseball so great is the difference between leagues. The American League, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of the DH. I want the strategy of the National League to where your pitchers have to bat. You have the double switch. You have all these different strategies that go into National League baseball playing. I love it when American League players have to go, or American League teams have to go into a National League ballpark. They don't have a clue what they're doing. They don't have a clue.
I don't want I don't want a guy just sitting on the bench for throughout the game, and all he does is come up 4 times to hit the ball. The idea of getting into the field, that is a part of the game. That's something that you're supposed to know how to do. I don't want someone who's just a hitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never,
Exactly.
so it's why I didn't like American League
Well,
baseball
and again, that is another
from
position that's
the jump.
unnecessarily created by Major League Baseball and the players. They want the DH because look, Sam, let's be honest. The DH is nothing more than an older player who can't play the outfield every single day
Hmm.
that can still swing the bat a little bit,
Yeah,
and they feel sorry for him, and so they put him in his DH role. He bats like 7th or 8th, and he's only trying to salvage his career, and make as much money as he can, at an older age. I mean, that's what a DH is now, man.
yeah. And every time I hear that, when you say you've got some, you're just keeping around some older player who can just hit the ball. I always think about the
I
Earl
think of,
Weaver rant.
I think of, look at it like this. Anthony Rizzo is a perfect DH player. Okay. Can't play the outfield, can't play the infield anymore, but man, he can still hit the ball out of the ballpark. So they give him this, he went to the Yankees and he had a great year, but he never played a single time out in the outfield, you know?
I don't, never been a fan of the DH ever since I knew what baseball was. I was like, I have to be able to, because when you're a kid and playing baseball, the most fun thing about playing baseball is hitting the ball, and to be able to hit the ball, you had to go out and play in the field too. I sucked at playing in the field, but I loved hitting the ball, and
Yeah.
and so I always thought, well, he doesn't have to go play in the field. Why doesn't he have to? But that's not how the game is.
Yeah.
But I guess the National League was really like the only place that still had a designated hitter. College has it. High school ball has it. It's
Yeah.
a terrible invention. Never liked it, and now the designated hitter debate is going to be over.
Yep.
Starting now.
Yep. It stinks, but I mean, who knows, man? I can't, as I said, I mean, that's the owners giving the players a bone, and I think the Major League Baseball player union is the most powerful union in the country.
I do too.
Yep.
They've
They always get their way, always.
But I like I said, I really think that they are going to end up hurting themselves. Look at how bad the game got hurt after the '94 strike.
Yeah. Well, the only thing
you're-
that saved '94 baseball was steroids. Let's be honest.
Yes, right. And so what's going to save it now? There's a million thousand
Steroids.
million more steroids. Yeah, there's so many things for people to do, and baseball is already a very old sport in terms of average age of fans.
Well, I think we talked about this. I think
you
we
have
talked
to
about
you
this.
have to
The
get the younger
sport was
eyeballs on it.
amazing during the steroid era. It was fun.
Yes, it was.
Like everybody
Yeah.
sit there and get up on their moral high ground, and sit there and say, "Well, I mean, this is cheating, baseball, blah 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 blah." I mean, but you know what? It is what it is, man. Times have changed. Every sport, fighting, UFC, all these guys are pumping these organic, enhancers into their system, and there's always a way to get around the system. Always, okay. Every professional athlete, basically, is not 100% clean. Okay, these guys
No.
are not clean, man. They're not.
And
So-
and my point as we talked about this before, my point was steroids were not against the rules of baseball, so it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't bother you. Are you breaking the rules? Sure. But
Yep.
are you breaking the law? Yes, you are. But I'm sure that these guys were out drinking and driving too, so they were breaking the law then.
I'm gonna drop some bombs on it. Golf PGA has done the best job of covering up their crap stuff behind the scenes, like with the Dustin Johnson situation, who's a known crackhead. I mean,
I don't
all
know.
this other
I don't know.
stuff.
The NFL's doing pretty good with
No,
the
but
Dallas
golf-
Cowboys and
but golf,
Dan
I'm
Snyder.
telling you, but golf buttons up. I'm gonna tell you something. I know this from the inside. Golf has one of the worst problems with performance enhancing drugs than any other sport out there.
I wouldn't doubt it.
There's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
So-
everybody else has some sort of a testing regimen out there. So
Yeah. Golf is a show. I mean, it's like a frat house out there. I mean, you should hear the stories. What's going on?
I've always said that about golf. It's if you line up to take a tee shot on number one and you don't end up in Minnesota, then you're cheating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
see,
Sam,
you're absolutely cheating.
we got to get out of here,
Yeah,
man.
man.
We're well over
All
our
right.
time, man.
Yeah,
Guys, it was
yeah,
a
yeah. So
great time.
we
Not
had a
sure
good time.
PEDs help golf in golf. It does actually. It does, Clifton. It
Strength.
does.
It's the ball
One
flying.
of the best well-known golfers ever in history. And I'm not going to name names. Has a career because of PEDs. Let's just say that.
It's John Daly.
It's John Daly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, all right, man. We're out of here,
All right.
guys. Take care. Bye.
All right. See you guys next week.